So, before we, look at what your companies and firms are doing in the farm space and, sort of setting the future agenda for Indian agriculture, since childhood, we've read that India is an agrarian economy. Agriculture is a dominant part of the GDP and, most part of the workforce is employed in agriculture. And as you know, so I first wanted to understand what is your assessment of where India's farm sector stands today? And maybe use that to give us a sense of what made you take the plunge in a sector that is not seen as glamorous, and when others like to do startups in things like high tech, more consumer facing, more high visibility sectors. So agriculture is a challenging sector to get into, and which is why I wanted to get a sense of your assessment of where things stood. What made you take the plunge into this, unusual, I would say, but much, much necessary choices that you've made to improve India's farm productivity?
May I start?
Yeah, yeah, Anand, sorry.
Hope I am audible to everyone. Yeah. So I will take up your second question first, right? So that was very catchy word, right? So agriculture is a non-glamorous sector, and that was the biggest bottleneck for us, right? 12, 13 years back when we started Dehat as company. And the most surprising part was we started from Bihar, right? So we studied so that we can be right kicked out of Bihar, and after studying graduating from IIT, we came back to Bihar and we started working in a non-glamorous sector, and that was the biggest setback for parents as well as you can say the ecosystem, right? So that was the biggest. At that time, agri was something that was we felt there was conviction it is going to be a big opportunity because this is the sector which is very important for everyone, but this is the most unstructured still, right? It's the most unstructured sector, unorganized sector. So obviously, hence opportunity is there. So that was the conviction when we started Dehat as a company. Uh, like me, four of other co-founders were there, engineering graduates, right, from mostly from IITs. They came back to Bihar and we started Dehat. And yeah, so leave aside the history part, right? So as founder, we generally jumped into the history part when we started, how we started. So yeah, obviously there is paradigm shift. The Honorable Finance Minister has covered, although there was one question around agriculture, but she covered a very macro level view. Why, what's happening in agriculture? What kind of paradigm shift is happening? What and just for example, right, 10, 12 years back, in budget, we used to hear subsidy on urea, right, fertilizer, crop protection. We were in budget, subsidy was the biggest, right, interesting, or maybe every stakeholders keep waiting for that word, right? But now in this budget, you can see the kind of paradigm shift is so people are talking about AI, right? How AI can help farmer, how AI can help all, not only farmers, all stakeholders who are based out of, who are in this sector, right? So AI is basically empowering farmers rather than a risk we are talking about in other sector, right? So AI-based advisory, AI is helping in digitization. So how, as Dehat, we are now using AI for a personalized, customized advisory for right different farmers in different geographies. That was the challenge earlier, and that's how we are integrating end-to-end value chain in agriculture. Yeah.
Amit, you want to give me a sense of your story? Give me and the audience, of course.
Thank you. So we started Star Agri 18 years back, and we feel that we are very fortunate to start Star Agri because I'm from Alwar, Rajasthan, now live in Bombay. So, other co-founders are also from Rajasthan. So we have seen agriculture sector since our childhood, and we have seen all the pains and all. So we wanted to do something in which gives a joy to us, and plus of course profitability. So we started Star Agri to give finance to farmers against their stocks. So warehouse receipt based financing. So Anand was there at that time in ICICI Bank, and we used to go to ICICI Bank, and develop a product. And he and his team was kind enough to develop a product for farmers, and that we scale it up. So in 2007, we they gave us 300 crore rupees limit for lending to farmers. So today we are managing around 20,000 crore book. That is one. Since then, we have done a lot of innovation in the sector. We started professional warehousing in this country. We started supply chain, digital marketplace called AgriBazaar, then farm mapping, and working with governments. And we were the first guy who brought marquee investor in the sector. Like we got 150 crore equity investment in 2012 from IDFC private equity. Then Temasek, who's a Singapore-based investor, one of the largest fund, they invested in our company 200 crore rupees. And since then, we are profitable, giving good return on equity to our investors. They're very happy. And today we have more than 5,000 people in our company. So if I look at like last 18 years, so feel very satisfied, because we come from Rajasthan, Alwar, small place, and we never imagined that we will be able to build such a large organization. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. Mr. Anand, do you want to come in?
Yeah,
Maybe
yes.
if you
Hi.
can also give us a sense of what your assessment of the Indian farm economy was before you took the plunge.
Yeah, before that, Vikas, when you mentioned it's not a glamorous sector,
Right.
I would request the media to make it glamorous, because you guys have the power to,
Right.
set the narratives. uh, Coming to agriculture sector, a bit about Arya. I'm an agri graduate with a postgraduate in agribusiness management. Started my career with ICICI Bank. On the other side, as Amit mentioned, we started this product in ICICI Bank, the warehouse receipt finance product. 8+ years in ICICI, then the journey with Arya started. We among Star are the leading agri-tech players now, profitable from year one of operations, a word which is very less known in agri, be profitable. And I think the most abused word, people don't want to talk about profits in agriculture because of the emotions attached. I may sound a little blunt, may sound a little harsh, because I believe the Indian agriculture has not got its due recognition. And we are driven by a lot of perceptions which are attached to agri. If we really have to transform the agri, we will have to remove our emotions, we will have to remove our perceptions. Because I remember the first conference which I attended in 2004, when I completed my MBA, we were talking about public-private partnership and building infrastructure in agri. And after 22 years, the last conference, we were still talking about the same. Why is it not happening? Why is it not happening? I believe there are certain perceptions which are built, like Indian post-harvest losses are 20%. Somebody has written some 3 decades, 4 decades ago. That time our production was 550 million ton. Now we are more than 300 million ton. At a 20% losses, you would have seen grains on the road. We don't see, other than some media bites which can come here and there. And I'm not saying that we don't have to support the farmers. We need to support, but the structural support to the farmers should come as a welfare, not at the cost of industry. Unfortunately, whenever we talk about agriculture, we only talk about the farmers. Why? There are other players in the ecosystem which also needs to be addressed. Like the AI summit, people are talking about AI for the farmers. I think AI first is needed for all the other stakeholders at the policy level to take proper decisions, because what is getting plagued is the uncertainty at which, or the randomness at which the decisions are taken at the policy level. The second is the data has to be used, or AI has to be used by the other participants, like us, who will use, before it goes down to the farmer level. Because end of the day, trust me, farmer is not paying for it. So it has to come out from the taxpayer's pocket only. So you need to figure out the usage of AI, which will help the farmer through the other market participants. That's my take on the agribusiness.
Okay. So, given that, like you all rightly pointed out, that, it needs, the way we look at farming needs to change. It should not just be about handouts to farmers. And, to be fair, I think while government talks a lot about the farmers, it often takes decisions later which are can be seen against farmers in the interest of the larger consumer base that it has to cope with. So, and I think sometimes what you said, unpredictability of policy responses are sometimes quite knee-jerk reactions. Now, this is something that has again been documented and written about for years, that India's farm trade policy, for instance, it is so unpredictable. There's 3 months of rise inflation, then they'll suddenly say no rise exports will be allowed. Something happens in wheat, they'll say wheat export ban kar do, iska hoarding limits, impose kar do. So I think that makes it extremely difficult for the farmer, as a price signal, as a sowing signal. You tell me that, yeah, sorry.
So because I'll add, that is where precisely when as a country we are not walking a talk. See, everybody talks that we should be market led. But when you try to control market, you are not market led anymore. The knee jerk reactions is like you're controlling the market. The moment you control the market, you are not market led. That's the point which I just wanted to add on that front.
No, so in that environment, how do you base a business model around a policy which can, 3 months from now, you suppose you're working on a new warehousing solution for pulses or wheat or whatever, and you work out something and then the whole paradigm shifts in 3 months. So how do you, make your business models sort of make them policy proof, so to say, policy pressures that come, and how you guys working around it? Maybe you can start, Amit. And
So our business is, around services and technology. So, like we give finance and all. So in my view, like, services are unaffected, irrespective of any decision of government. People grow and they need warehousing, they need warehouse receipt-based financing, they need other financing, they need, technology solution. What is most, affected by this, these decisions? These millers, pulses millers, rice millers, their profitability goes out in toss. The moment government say that, we will import pulses, at zero duty. So local pulses miller, like, wo mar jata hai. And then he's not able to give right price to the farmer. Yeah. Then farmer feels that, this year I am cheated, next year I will not grow, I will grow something else. Yeah. So इससे पूरा ecosystem नहीं बन पा रहा है. Like you see, Washington से हम एप्पल मंगाते हैं और वो उसका स्टिकर लगा हुआ एप्पल एक बिहार के छोटे से गांव में भी मिलता है. So that kind of thought process not here in India. That farmer should grow and our export should grow, and government should work towards that. कि GDP में अभी contribution कम है, export में और भी कम है, तो हम कैसे बढ़ाएं? So that is the main point. Every year we grow, we import 15,000 crore worth of almonds from America, California. आप देखो चारों तरफ उनके बोर्ड लगे रहते हैं. California almond government supported, American government supported by the board and all. But here we killed this almond and cashew industry. Farmers are not growing because they are not getting full support. Yeah. So ecosystem बनाने के लिए government को ना थोड़ा long term सोचना पड़ेगा. That's the main thing.
Right. Adarsh, what's your experience? I'm saying, how do you make
Yeah.
your business
So-
policy proof?
So yeah, it was around policy because agri is a state subject, right? It's very complex. Compliances are there, especially in agri input, because we are full stack platform as they are, right? So we deal into agri inputs, advisory, market linkage. So we are dealing more than 25 crops, right? So in different states, more than 13 states of India, we have now 10.5 million farmers network, right? And obviously serving these farmers through 13,500 Dehat centers, which are franchisee large mart delivery channel partners, right? So policy is something which is a state subject. We have been it's a very complex one, especially around input industry, right? Because fertilizer is there, even at district level, you have to get license, but you can't do anything, right? So policy is there, right? You can't change the policy, obviously. And but as Dehat, it's as a model, right? So we are not a one-point solution to farmers, rather than we are a full stack service for farmers, right? So here we are covering all aspects, and the solution to this bottlenecks, right, kind of policies are there. So diversifying your geographies, diversifying your revenue stream, diversifying your business. This is the answer. This is how you can overcome the external factors, right? मतलब फॉर एग्जाम्पल कभी आप सुने होंगे एक्सपोर्ट में किसी क्रॉप में राइट देर इज you can't export that category. So you must have other crops in your basket, right? So that you can overcome to that kind of uncertainties. Monsoon is the biggest factor, right? India is capturing monsoon data for last more than 100 years, but still, पूरे world में this is the most अनप्रेडिक्टेबल वेदर कंडीशन, राइट? सो वहाँ पे आप कुछ कर नहीं, इतने साल का डेटा होने के बाद भी इस साल वी हर्ड अबाउट मानसून, व्हाट हैपेंड इन एग्रीकल्चर इकोसिस्टम, बहुत सारे क्रॉप डैमेज हो गए बिकॉज एक्सटेंसिव रेन. बट इन दैट केस the geography, diversified crop value chain helps you, right? So this is our model. Yeah.
Right.
This is how we are overcoming this kind of bottlenecks.
Right. So that is very smart. I mean, I guess it's a fairly obvious thing, but it's tough to implement, diversifying your customer base and your market so that you're not dependent on one shock from one state. But I want to also understand, I know one of the challenges that we always read about in India's agriculture is the small land holding size. There's a fragmented holdings. Farmers are too small to be economically viable, but they still continue to be in farming. So how does agri-tech sort of, does it have a solution to bring together maybe more cohesive approach to this? Maybe you can start, Adarsh, and then Anand.
Yeah, so 90% of the farmers in India, either they are small, marginal, or landless farmers.
Right.
We don't talk about landless farmers, right? Generally, we micro, small, and marginal farmers में ही हम लोग रह जाते हैं, because there are a lot of landless farmers, and they are the real farmers who are doing farming on behalf of you, the landowners, right?
With the labor,
Most of the
huh?
landowners.
Right.
So it's for I want to be very exhaustive, but can you repeat the question so that I want to be specific?
No, I'm trying to ask that how does agri-tech
Yeah.
solve the problem of fragmented land
So,
holdings?
so digitization is the answer. Coming back to your question. So if you are digitizing the supply chain, right, the crop value chain, this is the answer. So as Dehat, what we are doing. So being full stack, 360-degree solution provider, right? And that was the problem statement for us as Dehat. When we started from Bihar, where most of the farmers, right, more than 90% farmers are small farmers, where land is very fragmented, right? Services are fragmented. All touch points are fragmented, right? For any farmer who is earning 200, 300 rupees per day around the year, that is the average income, उनके लिए क्रॉप एडवाइजरी सर्विस, कोई क्रॉप में प्रॉब्लम होता है, so if he will go to district headquarter or if he will go to any कृषि विज्ञान केंद्र, it's not economically viable, right? So how you are creating a full stack model at their farm gate, even at panchayat level, right? So that can solve that problem, the fragmented farming, and hence fragmented the small and medium farmers.
Right.
So we as Dehat, so we have Dehat centers at panchayat level. I was talking about 13,000 approx Dehat center, 13,500 Dehat centers. So as Dehat, one center caters around 5 to 7 kilometer of catchment area and 1,000 farmers, approx 1,000 farmers, so that we can address the particular problem, address the small
Help them
farmers.
be more productive
Yeah,
in a
so
way.
digitization of supply chain, aggregation, digitization of agriculture, giving them customized advisory, right? So AI is new thing, but ultimately the customized advisory is very important, yeah.
Anand, you want to come in?
Because I think Adarsh has already covered some of the points which are applicable to all of us on the part of making it digitized and more transparent and workable. But as a country, the structural changes that land aggregation has to come in. You cannot continue the land getting fragmented with every generations to pass. This is, I think, the biggest problem which the government will have to figure out to address because we may talk about improving seed quality, we may talk about, reducing, using precision agriculture, but everything the government is paying. If you want to make the sector more vibrant, you'll have to figure out how the consumer pays for it. And then that's when you keep the welfare and the business separate. I'm not saying that the farmers are not to be supported. Every country does. It's not a lucrative business to be in. But compared to the farmland size which are there in the Western and the European countries, and for that matter, even Africa, some parts, you need to have a policy now. And unfortunately, that law was rolled back for his not commenting on that. But it's high time to bring back those discussions on the table and debate so that you get a land aggregation. Technology will work beyond, up to certain point only. But beyond it, if the unit economics is not making sense, end of the day, it will be the taxpayer money. Either you give it through a subsidy, or you give it to a grant, or you make the corporate pay, like the sugar industry. It's a classic example. When the sugar prices are down, since the raw material price, which is the sugar cane, you have a statutory minimum price. When the sector goes banned, you come out with soft loans. End of the day, the money is pumped somewhere or other by the government. You may hold your ear like this, or like this. Till you solve those structural issues, people will get, limited at one time. The limit will be breached. And I can see it sooner than later.
I think that's actually touches a very important point that, since the 1991 reform story of India, we've seen reforms in manufacturing, services, but the prism with which all farm and agriculture related issues are looked at remains very, very mired in the 1960s, 70s, whatever you call it. And
I will add one point. So, yeah, so land fragmentation is there, right? And it's very difficult to solve, actually. And generation by generation, it is getting fragmented, right?
Right.
So, I'm just, solution-wise, I'm talking about solution. FPO, FPO policy, right? Farmers, producer.
Yeah, that's happening, of
this
course.
is the this is the solution for this land
Right.
land fragmentation, or you can say the solution for small and marginal farmers, right? This is the policy which empowers farmers.
No,
The
FPOs are,
question,
of course.
yeah, but question is about execution, implementation. That is
So, I mean,
something missing.
I agree, Adarsh, but look it from a different perspective. I am playing a devil's advocate when it comes to FPOs. How many CEOs you need to run an FPOs? Do you have that kind of caliber or the CEOs available to run those FPOs? Just think it from that perspective. And look at the stage at which most of the FPOs are getting closed. After the initial funding rounds are over, very few are surviving. I'm not against that idea, but the practical issuance of you technically need a CEO to run an FPO.
Run the show.
Do you have in this
Yeah,
sector?
yeah. Well,
So, you look at the, last 30, 40 years of India. So we have seen two revolution. One is land holdings are small, that is the fact. But when 1917 United States said that we will not give you wheat, and we were, importing a lot of wheat, then Green Revolution came. Our, Honorable Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri said, Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. And in 10 years' time, we became self-sufficient in wheat in 1980s. And in 1982, we were, exporting wheat to the world. So in 12 years' time, with the available, land holdings. And second revolution we see in a milk. When, we had a problem like we didn't have the large animal farms, cows and buffaloes. And then farmer used to have only 2-3 cows. And we had a Amul, Mr. Korean,
Operation Flood.
yes,
Right.
yeah. So though to dekha, uske baad, like, we saw this irrigation revolution where Jain irrigation required world's largest this irrigation company, Nandan. Yeah. So like, in last 30, 40 years, we have not seen any scarcity of the food products. The major issue is the marketing. Our product are not, at per the global standards. First is the marketing, second is the quality. So we have to solve these two problems with the agri-tech. And second problem is like, crop diversification. So right now, farmer, they have been growing wheat and rice. They are not focused on oil seeds because today India imports large quantity of edible oil. We don't have oil seed or this productions. So we need to solve crop diversification, we need to solve quality, and we need to solve marketing. Then we are set for next 10, 12 years.
Right.
Thank you.
So thank you for bringing me to the original theme of our session, which is, if the seeds were responsible for the first green revolution in India, what can agri-tech companies, expect to help bring in, everyone expects technology to bring in the next green revolution. How can, like Sir said about diversification and, having a different approach to marketing, what are the 2, 3 things that you two can suggest on,
I think
enabling provisions
yeah,
to,
so green revolution was around, right, increasing the production, right. Now the time has changed. It's very important to have a market driven, we were talking about demand led production plan, right. So every entire value chain should be digitized, and now the market, the all channel, all touch points, right. So all stakeholders are very fragmented, right. So we need to basically shift from point solution I was talking about, right, a one point solution to a kind of full stack model where you can create multiple touch points. We should stop calling farmers only farmers. I think in right, in urban markets, we generally do market research. We talk about consumer lifetime value. We have every data around farmers. But in rural market, farmers, if they are the, basically they are the consumers, right? So if you are talking about the consumers, as farmer, we should know about the what is the lifetime value, and we should stick around that, right? So and the second one is maybe in rural, especially in agriculture, deep mile, deep, you can say the as they hath, right? So we are creating a last mile delivery channel partner. So we have to build distribution at such level so that you can disseminate all kind of services to farmers, right? So demand-led production plan, precision agriculture, right? Climate resilient agriculture. This is something using of AI to empower all stakeholders, not only farmers, right? This is how you can,
Right.
this is the only way, yeah.
Anand, your thoughts?
So, because I'm going to make something very bold. I know it may not go down well with some of the people who are present in the room, but I'll just speak my mind out. What India currently needs is less of intervention. We have overdone intervention at the farmer level. Like Amit talked about the green revolution. It came because we did not have any choice left. Today, when you are bombarding farmers with so many choices, with so many options, with so many underwritings, you are not creating a meritocracy out there. I know they need to be supported, but many a times we overdo things. And I remember a poem, which my kid was learning, that good times create weak people. And bad times create strong people. When you give them good, there is no incentive for them to, come up the curve. Just leave it. You want to give a support to the farmer, that 6,000 rupees, you make it 8, you make it 10, you make it 12, whatever number you decide, or you link it to their, to their farmland size. Or you can even link it to a merit that with satellite imagery, I will track this package of practices you do, we will give you this money. Stop your interference after that. Let market drive it. Things will automatically fall into place. And the prism you were talking about, through which Indian people look, is basically the vote banks. You remove that vote thing aside, we may not be required to sitting in this forum to discuss solutions. Trust me.
That's a brilliant note. I know we're sort of running out of time, but and I understand that farm sector is something that clearly is something that is emotional. It also needs a lot of interventions to drive no more interventions, as you rightly said. But due to the paucity of time, if we may just take one quick audience question, while understanding Anand's broad point, which I think merits attention from policymakers.